Welcome to another episode of Show Friday. On this week's episode we are going to talk about something absolutely fantastic, the first clutch of the season. Now, it is always super nice when it happens, when the first clutch laid. It is an official start that the real season has begun. Today we are going to talk about that clutch. My name is Robert Bronkhorst. Welcome to Round Talk Serpents. So for obvious reasons, I'm not holding the mother or the clutch during this video, but I did shoot a little bit of B-roll of her on the X. Of course, not a whole lot because I didn't want to stress her out with bright lights and stuff, and her egg top sitting on the stainless steel table sucking away heat. So I only got a little bit of footage on that. You have to do with it. But I will tell you everything about that clutch and that female and why I did the pairing and why I still have that female. So the female who laid the clutch was Lilith, and Lilith is a Ballpython. I should have mentioned that maybe, but oh well, here it is. She's a Ballpython, and genetically speaking she is a lithium fire. And lithium is a combination of butter and cinnamon. I've proven her out to be a lithium fire in the past because I made some vanilla cream combinations with her. So that fire part is proven out. I doubted the fire part, although she did look a little bit brighter than normal lithiums, but fire is, so yeah, you identify things by picture, and pictures are very susceptible for lighting. So if the lighting is really bright, your animals look really bright, or if the lighting is very dark, your animals look very dark. And fire is a gene that is, I think, is very hard to learn to ID from pictures, especially if you get some very complex combinations. So I'm very glad that I proved it out already 3 years ago, I think, 3 years ago. And the lithium part is obvious. You can see the beautiful lithium colors and the beautiful lithium pattern, really. The funny part is that she laid a clutch for me in 2022, she skipped 2023, she did lay a clutch in 2024 and now in 2025. And for all the years that she laid a clutch, so back to 2022 except for 2023, are you still following me? She was the very first to lay the clutch every season. I looked it up in Reptile Scan because I wanted to see what came out of the very first clutch. I wanted to check if there's something very particular, something very nice, and there was, and I will hopefully I can show you with some old pictures from the archives. But I noticed she's always has clutch number 1, which I think is very nice because I really like that snake. I really love the coloration of that animal. Although she's not something that is particularly expensive or groundbreaking or really high level in any opinion, I really like that combination. So I kept her. I tried making excuses every year to not have to sell her out of the collection. Till now I succeed, and I basically have to keep her now, especially as long as she stays to be the very first every year to lay a clutch, right? Selling her off will be bad juju, and we don't need bad luck here at Round Talk Serpent. So she stays as a talisman. The very first clutch she laid in 2022, she had 6 eggs, and in that clutch were some very nice vanilla cream combinations. That was because we paired her with the cinnamon vanilla cream yellow belly, which I suspect now is actually a super vanilla, but I sold him off. And we produced some vanilla cream combinations, and hopefully I can still find some pictures, but one of those animals was a male cinnamon butter, so lithium, vanilla cream yellow belly. So all rounded up, a lithium vanilla cream yellow belly, which in my opinion looked absolutely fantastic, especially as a baby. And if that was not a male but a female, I probably would have kept it. And now I have a very dull snake, really, because it was very spectacular, but I think the combination would not age very well. But I really was in love with that animal. It was pretty nice. It felt a little bit tough to have to sell that, but can't keep them all, sadly. The second clutch she laid was in 2024, and maybe you can remember, because I also did a video on that it was still on Instagram, and maybe that one is on YouTube as well, as a short probably. But she was the very first clutch, and she had only one single egg. All of the rest of the clutch were slugs, and she was paired to that same male because I wanted to recreate those babies, because I sold a lot of those babies, and I somewhat regret that because I really liked the nice striping pattern that was on it, and I would love to produce some females with that look, really, because I really think that is a great animal or a great combination for people who are entering the hobby and don't have a lot of money to spend, or don't want to spend a lot of money on it, which in my opinion is a little bit wise if you watch my last episode. Hey, maybe I can add it here or here, put a card in, and so you can see a 30-minute video on why you should buy a classic. Yeah, so she had a single egg, and everything else was a slug, which bummed me out for a little bit. But there was also the year that I decided to have as many females as possible maternally incubate their own eggs. And I have to be honest, I wasn't expecting her to lay a clutch already, so she was still on the wood chips, on the lignocell, we call it, on the lignocell, which is not very great for holding moisture, and if it gets a little bit too wet it will mold. But I decided to keep that single egg with her against all odds, right? Because a single egg is very susceptible on rolling, and it was also the wrong substrate, so I thought, well, if she can manage that, and I also, to be honest, I wasn't really afraid of losing that one egg. But I did think that, well, if she managed to incubate this egg successfully, that would be a great tribute on what Ballpython females actually can do themselves, and how we definitely should not be paranoid about letting them incubate their own eggs. And guess what? She succeeded, and she produced out of all the genes that were possible in there, and out of all the crazy combinations, right? Because there's cinnamon in both parents, so there could be a super cinnamon combination. There's supposed to be fire in both combinations, so, and to be honest, I also was a little bit shooting for super fires. There could be a super fire in there, although I now think that was a super vanilla. So also could be some vanilla creams in there. Vanilla cream is a combination of fire and vanilla. And could be some yellow belly in there, and all the different matchup of all those genes. Of course with butter as well from the mother. And the animal that came out was a replica of Lilith, which in my opinion was quite remarkable. So she only laid one fertile egg, maternally incubated that single fertile egg with all the odds of it rolling away and it drying up because of the difficult substrate that I had with her, and she incubated that egg. And then as a reward for that major accomplishment, she got a replica of herself genetically, which I thought was quite cool. And now for this season, the 2025 season, I paired her up with this guy, Drum. I will hold him instead for this episode, so at least there's a snake in my hands for you to see. Now Drum is, as you may know from a previous episode, again, I'm starting to suspect I already showed off all my snakes, which is almost true. He is a super bongo. That's how I bought him, as a super bongo. And now you wonder, wow, why did you pair him up to this? Yeah, we get there in a short time. But first I have to tell you how many eggs there are on the clutch. I think there are 6. I haven't checked them because she's still on a pile of eggs. Well, you already knew that because you probably have seen the B-roll by now. But I have not taken her off her eggs. So I couldn't really count. I looked from beneath and I think I saw 4 eggs and then some eggs on top. And then I could peek through from the top and I think I saw 2 of those eggs laying on top. So I think there are 6, maybe 7, but let's go for 6 now, and if it's 7, it's a little bit of a bonus. It looks there are no slugs, which is always nice, but to be honest, if there are slugs, most of the time those slugs are being pushed out of the pile of eggs because they don't stick very well, and there are no slugs left. What is a little bit sketchy with this method is that you cannot check if your snake is fully empty, so that's a little bit of a risk. But I'm also very hesitant to really pull her off, especially in the beginning, because I'm a little bit afraid it will break that connection between her and her eggs maybe a little bit, and it really mess things up. And one of the main reasons I let the females maternally incubate is to improve that relationship, those threads of trust between the animals and myself. So I don't want to break that trust in order to check if all the eggs are out. And to be honest, if there is still 1 egg in there, most of the time the body will resolve it, and if not, surgery is always an option. So why did I pick this male to breed her for this season? That's because I saw this animal online only with a picture and thought, hey, you know what? Super Bungo looks an awful lot like Genetic Stripe, and I really love Genetic Stripe, but I didn't want to have another recessive project. Then I thought, what if you treat incomplete dominant traits as recessive traits? And I talked about this in Drum's own video in more depth, so I won't go over that again, because I have a feeling this video will be long enough for what it is already, and I think I'm only halfway past the script now, so yeah, let's not go into depth about that. The main reason I choose this male to breed to Lilith this season is to see how Bungo reacts with cinnamon, lesser butter, and fire in real life. That is important, because seeing pictures on the internet is something, right? You check out the picture. Let's say it's a picture and see, oh yeah, that's nice. And then you scroll to the next picture and say, oh yeah, that's what it does. Oh yeah, great. And then you scroll to the next picture and say, oh yeah. And then you scroll to the next one. Nothing really happens. But in real life, there are real emotions involved in the combinations, because you've did the pairing and then hopefully he did, because I didn't see a single lock with him. So you see, hopefully he did something, and then she lays the eggs, and then you have to wait for almost 2 months for her to incubate this eggs, and everything has to go well, which is very exciting. And then one day, out of nowhere, you will open the top and you will see a little tiny face poking out with the very first clue of what might be in there. And then sometimes you have to wait 3 days for that little animal to come out and finally reveal him or herself to you and to the rest of the world, which really fills you up with emotions. So it's gonna sound like bullshit, but I promise you it's not. If you pick up that animal and study it, all of the characteristics will be engraved into your memory, into your brain. And after they shed, it really grows on you, right? Because you see the colors develop shed by shed, and when they grow, you see that all develop. And by the time it is time for those animals to leave, they are with you for 2 or 3 months already. So he really had some time and some real emotions, like sadness and sadness because you have to sell them off, and then happiness because you created something you was aiming for, and grief after you sold them and are regretting that fully. So all of those combinations compared with all the things you saw will really help you identify the gene, and in this case the bongo gene, when you see it in something that is less expected or way more complex and way harder to identify. Which is also why it is very handy that he is a super bongo, because if we do get a lithium fire bongo, we know for certain it's bongo in it. And also it will have a very crazy belly pattern that will help as well. Also, when I bought him, I just assumed that this is super bongo, and that if you have a little bit of bad luck, you can get some pattern in there, but being perfectly striped was normal. As it turns out, now that I've done a little bit of more research and searched a little bit deeper, that striping seems to be almost every time under the influence of cinnamon. And he is very light colored for cinnamon, but maybe there's more in there, because there is no pattern at all over here. So maybe it's cinnamon or fire or cinnamon or whatever, give it a name. And I want to check it out because, well, Lilith has cinnamon in it, and if he also carries a cinnamon gene, we will get some super cinnamons or some 8 balls if this is actually black pastel instead of cinnamon. So that's another reason why I choose him for this season for this female. Will I keep some of the offspring? Probably not. Why, you ask? Well, especially if you saw his video. You say, well, didn't you want to breed all kinds of different incomplete dominant traits into the super bongo to alternate the color and make them better? Yeah. But as I told you about a few minutes ago, there might be some hidden genetics in him, explaining why he looks as clean, as striped as he is. And if that's the case, if that is because of cinnamon, that's no big deal. We can still move forward with that project. Only it will not be the Super Bongo project, but it will be the Cinnamon Super Bongo project. So we can still move forward on that. But lesser is not a very popular gene, right? It's not very wise for me to heavily invest in it and keep a lot of my breeding stock with that, focused on that gene. Same goes with cinnamon. If cinnamon is necessary to get this effect, cinnamon is necessary to get that effect, and it will be a crucial part of the combination, so it will be okay. But if it's not, then also cinnamon will not be a very great way to evolve this platform, because everybody wants black pastel instead of cinnamon now. At least a lot of people, which I think is a shame, because cinnamon can make some beautiful striped animals with the striping on the belly side, and bongo can do that too. I think those genes are quite well for each other, but I'm a little bit hesitant to produce a lot of babies that will be a little bit more difficult to sell, especially if we come into the more higher value animals. So I'm not very sensitive for the trends, but I do want to be a little bit aware of not investing heavily now into animals that I'm almost certain will not pay off in the future. Fire is also, I don't think fire is dramatic enough really to really enhance this platform. So then we have all the genes that are possibly in Lilith that will come out of this clutch. Not really worth it for moving forward. What am I going to do with the clutch then? Well, as I said, if we have some good lines of butter, we can get some actually pretty nice babies out of this, which are really affordable. I think they will cost around 100 euros or so a piece, which is right in the ballpark of what is good for a beginner. And if you want those nice brown tones with a little bit of light color and some beautiful belly patterns, then I think this combination will be gold, and we will see how they sell. Now you probably wonder, well, if this pairing wasn't really the way forward with this platform, then what is? First, if we proven out that Super Bongo is the reason, of can be. Oh, sorry, I'm a little bit gassy today. If we have proven out that Bongo is capable of producing animals like this without the aid of anything else, then I think Orange Dream or Red Stripe will be a much better suit for preceding that combination. And I don't think we need a enhancer gene in there because, well, there's not really a lot to enhance. But I do think that some strong colors like Orange Dream or Super Orange Dream, or maybe Pastel Super Orange Dream, something like that, could produce some really bright colors. And maybe Red Stripe can produce some really subtle deep red colors, or maybe Super Red Stripe even could be a great way of moving forward, and I think a more sustainable way of moving forward for me. And then maybe in the future, maybe even Candy or Ultramel or Axanthic, who knows. Axanthic will be really close because he is head for VPI Axanthic and I have VPI Axanthic females. So Axanthic is a real possibility, but who knows. And just like that, I'm out of script, which is not really bad. I have a feeling that when I look on the timer, it will say 20 plus minutes. So I don't think it's really bad that the script is over. I think I said enough. When I started this video, I had the feeling it would be a short one, which would be nice because last week's video was 30 minutes. But now I have a feeling it'll still be quite a long video. So yeah, sorry for that. Please watch it. If you made it this far, you probably did, so there was no real reason for me to say that. Nevertheless, I really hope you enjoyed the video. I'd like to thank you for your time and hopefully see you in the next one. Bye.